Hey everyone, welcome to the Chasing Meet Cutes podcast. I'm your host, Nicole.
And I'm your host, Trisha. Thanks again for tuning in for another episode. We're glad to be here, continuing to talk about Meet Cutes.
Yep.
Today we're going to talk about a lot of classic movies. Well, some are classic. Some might be a little underrated, perhaps. Yeah. But we're going to be talking about Ashton Kutcher. Sorry, my voice went out. Ashton Kutcher. And just some of the movies he was in the early 2000s and one current one.
Yeah.
So I think he was just like the first movie I can ever remember watching or seeing him in. And I'm sure this just like ages me a bit, but like was probably Cheaper by the Dozen.
Yeah.
I know that he was in like Dude, Where's My Car? And he was also like on That 70s Show, but I didn't watch those. I was a sheltered little galley for a little while. But also, they just weren't appropriate for like our age.
Yeah,
like,
at the time, yeah.
Yeah, at the time. But I just remember him in Cheaper by the Dozen in that scene where he's with the girlfriend. He's like, my pants were on fire or something. Do you remember that part?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, Ashton was in a lot of romantic comedies. I feel like he was one of the guys that was in a lot of them. And so that's why we chose to talk about his movies. And the first one we're going to talk about is one of our top favorite movies ever, I think.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say our. I shouldn't speak for you, but I feel like
no,
it
you
is.
know it is.
Yeah. It's just, again, the theme of all of these movies that I'm always like, this was our favorite. It's 2009. We were 17, graduated high school. Life was good. And you just, I don't know. Those ones just like they serve like a fun nostalgic period. What? Are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing.
Are you laughing at me?
Yeah, because was Ashton Kutcher in Cheaper by the Dozen?
Yes, he was the boyfriend. Of the oldest daughter.
Oh, what's her name?
Nora or whatever. Is that her name?
Yeah, but I'm thinking of her in a different role. But now I can't think of it. Okay,
yeah,
no problem.
He played the boyfriend in that movie that the kids tormented and didn't like because he was kind of like a loser and moocher.
Maybe, am I thinking of Cheaper by the Dozen too? Maybe. Probably.
I don't even know what I was saying about him before.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
I just was over here like holding in my laugh since you were talking about it, and I was like,
no, I thought you were giving me like a TMD moment.
No.
Like I was telling too many details.
No.
But yeah, anyways, I think I was just talking about all the movies that we love happen to be from 2009
from that time.
Because it's a nostalgic period, but also they just made great movies.
So good.
During those years. So, yeah, What Happens in Vegas is the first one we're going to dive into. So give us a little intro on the movie.
All right. So What Happens in Vegas follows two strangers, Joy, who's played by Cameron Diaz, and Jack, Ashton Kutcher, who impulsively marry in Las Vegas after a night of heavy drinking, only to wake up regretting their decision. When Jack wins a $3 million jackpot using Joy's quarter, a judge forces them to stay married for 6 months before either can claim the money. As they scheme to make the other give up the winnings, their fake marriage turns into a real romance, forcing them to reconsider what they truly want.
Jack and Joy. Wait, not Jack. Yes, Jack and Joy. Joy and Jack. We just watched another movie where Jack was in it, but he was the kid and not Ashton's character. So I was like, wait, am I right? Okay, yeah, so we have Jack and Joy. Jack he works for his dad's company. He's kind of just like a player. He recently is fired because his dad's like, you're lazy. You don't do anything.
Your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Joy, who works at the exchange.
Yeah.
And she's just like the stock market queen. She's a hustler.
Very type A.
I was just going to say, if type A had a picture next to it in the dictionary, it would be Joy.
That. Yeah.
She is a control freak.
A planner.
Definitely a planner. She makes a plan to make plans. And I know we're focusing on Jack and Joy, but let's talk a little bit about the dynamic between her and her then boyfriend or fiance at the time. Because that's really like the first scene that we see Joy in.
Yeah.
Is her planning this party.
He's
well, we see her interact with him at home a little bit, and he's like totally not into her.
He's like so checked out.
He's
like
the worst.
He's just like, you can tell she is just too much for him. Like, he maybe at the beginning this all was fine, but now he's realizing, like, I don't want to make a plan to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all just too much for him. And
yeah.
And
he's also just like the most vanilla, blah, boring guy.
Yeah.
Somehow, even though he doesn't want to make plans to make plans. Like, it's not, I don't know. He's just like you said, totally checked out. There's a moment where they're walking down the street talking about whatever they got to do, and they're parting ways, and she goes in for a kiss, like, hey. And she literally like puckers up, and he just like denies her and kisses her on the head, which typically
and not in a cute way.
Forehead kisses, but not this one.
Yeah, this
totally
was like a total.
Yeah, it was like a little denial, and he's just stupid. So
yeah,
she though is kind of oblivious of that fact. Like, she's not picking up those signals because she's so into her own plan about everything that she decides she's going to have a surprise party for him, and everyone is in their apartment, like all their friends. And he comes to the door, and she goes out to greet him, and he's like, hey, before I come in, like, we need to talk. And she's like, just come in. He's like, no, I can't. We got to do this now. And she's like, okay, tell me quick or whatever. And basically he dumps her in front of everybody.
Yeah, and then they all stand up and they're like,
surprise. Yeah.
So that was horrible.
Toxic relationship.
Yeah, toxic for sure, and
just sad.
And sad for Joy. Like,
so
that
sad.
just was really messed up. Of course, he didn't know everybody was in the apartment. Like, whatever. But still. Nonetheless.
And you're allowed to change your mind about somebody, and thank God he did it before they were actually married. So it just sucks, and it's like kind of like this, I don't know, like a self-assessment time for Joy to be like, I'm fun, right? Like,
yeah,
he's telling me all these things about myself, and she ultimately feels just like she's not good enough for him. And her friend was like, we should go to Vegas. You were going to go to Vegas. That was like her gift
you already had the trip booked.
Yeah. So they're going to Vegas, and we know Jack and his boy, Hater, are going to Vegas.
They're going to Vegas.
Because he's sad about losing his job, and he's just in his own feels. And their meet cute is pretty epic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so not typical, but hilarious. So good.
Yeah. They end up getting booked in the same hotel room. And her and, what's her name? Tipper are like in the bathroom getting ready. Tipper's in the shower. Joy's just like...
No, Joy's in the shower.
Whatever. They're in the bathroom getting ready. And then Jack and Homeboy come in, like, in their little boa, whatever it was.
They had already been out and about.
Yeah, they had already been on the drink.
Yeah, Ashton has a boa.
Yeah. So they come in, and one of them goes into the bathroom, like, walks in on them, and it's just like everybody's screaming. They're so caught off guard. Tipper and Joy are just like literally fighting them.
Oh yeah.
Like, they're going all in,
throwing
on
punches,
these guys.
jumping on backs, slapping. I mean, they're thrown down.
Yeah, and Joy realizes that Jack has this pink boa on around his neck, and she's like, wait, it's fine, they're gay.
They're gay.
And then they stop fighting, but Jack's like, we're not gay. Yeah. And so then the fighting ensues again. But anyway, that's their meet cute. And of course, they're all upset that they're booked in the same room. So they have to go down to the lobby and get the situation figured out, which they do. They each get a penthouse suite and all these VIP passes to whatever bars, clubs, casinos on the Strip.
Yeah, and I think we kind of see Jack picking up on her type A-ness, if you will. They share a limo to go out and about, and then they're going to ultimately split ways. And he's like, come have a drink. And she's like, no, like, no, you're the last person I'd want to spend like any time with. Like, we're doing our own thing. And he's like, or we're getting a drink here to make our plan for the night. He's like, did you just make a plan to make a plan? And that obviously triggers her from the breakup. And she's like, what'd you just say? Like, and he's like, come on, have a drink with us. I dare you. So she's like, okay, cool. And then we see
turn down a dare.
Yeah. We see this chaotic, drunken night of events that just ensues. And they ultimately end up sleeping together. During this night, though, we see each of them share with each other like why they're in Vegas and the breakup that happened and the fact that he got fired by his dad. But they're drunk and they're just not in their right minds. Yeah. But yet it's like the truth serum kind of a situation. But they ultimately end up sleeping together. They wake up the next morning and Joy realizes she's wearing a ring. So like they marry.
A pair of dice.
Yeah, it's like the worst ring ever, but the most Vegas ring ever.
Yep.
So yeah, they are married. They see each other at breakfast. They kind of like had this moment of like, oh crap, like
we need to talk about this.
Yeah, we do. So we see them talk about it. They kind of mutually agree, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, we need to end this. And then she gets insulted by the fact that he's like trying to break things off with her like again and in a way that she feels offended.
Yeah.
And so they kind of get into this, like, you're the last person I would ever want to be with. Like, you're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with you. And it's like, oh, you're just a child and da-da-da-da-da. And they start to bicker. She takes a quarter, puts it in the slot machine, and walks away. He uses the slot machine and walks away. Obviously, they hit the jackpot and win $3 million. That's when this whole storyline really begins, where we see them together. Because they're married. And
yes, they are.
What's mine is yours, honey. Remember? So, yeah, they basically come to the agreement in court. The judge says, hey, if you want to split this money, you have to live together for 6 months. And if all goes well, I'll give you a divorce and you can split the money.
Yeah, like you have to actually prove that you tried to like be together.
Right. Try to make this marriage work.
Yeah.
And which is interesting. I don't know. Would that
I don't know.
Actually happen?
It is kind of weird. Like,
I mean, I guess a judge can rule however they want, but
yeah,
it seems a little.
He's like trying
fluffed.
To prove a point and like be like, you guys wanted to be stupid and get married in Vegas. Like, I'm
he
gonna
hates these like
millennial
whatever he says. This generation. He just own up to your. Pay the consequences, basically. Yeah. So then this is where we really see a lot of their moments together as a couple begin.
Yeah. And which, of course, like, a lot of it is, I don't even know if it's curated necessarily. Of course, like, they have to go to therapy and stuff and talk about their relationship and how it's unfolding. So I don't want to say that it was, like, curated, but so much of it was, like, I don't know, them bickering and like trying to figure out how to exist in the same space.
It's definitely enemies to lovers trope. Like when they're not putting on an act for the therapist, they are, which really was only short lived. Yeah. She saw through their bullcrap pretty quick. But when we see them genuinely being themselves around each other, they're just trying to make this whole situation the most unpleasant for the other one as possible. And
they're just like, they just live differently anyway. Like, he's disgusting. His apartment is disgusting.
Guys, let's talk about that.
And she's obviously very type A, so we know her space is not like that.
Even a type B, I'm type B through and through. I would never, ever. I don't care. I'm not even trying to say, oh, this is only a men thing, because I'm sure there's some nasty girls out there. Ladies, clean your bathrooms. But this bathroom was filthy.
Ew, so gross.
Beer cans in the shower, on the sink, hairs everywhere, dirt everywhere. I just know that bathroom smelled like pee.
Yeah, the whole place stunk.
Oh yeah, that place.
It just,
yeah.
There was just so many disgusting
And obviously
things.
he made zero efforts to get it ready for her because he didn't care.
Right.
They didn't like each other. Like,
well, and plus, like, he didn't want it to work, so he could prove, like, oh, well, she didn't want to make it work, so, like, I can get the money.
That became, like, each of their angles. Like, I'm going to make the other one either walk away.
Yeah.
Or set them up to make them look like the bad guy so that the judge ultimately gives me the money.
Right.
So yeah, that's where the com and the rom-com comes into play. Yeah. We see a lot of these, like, honestly hysterical moments between the two of them. You mentioned while we were watching that Cameron Diaz is just another one that's so good at physical comedy.
Yep.
And he just has regular guy written all over him.
Yeah.
In every role he plays, which is just, I think, why people like seeing him in movies so much. And yeah, just every little thing, every little detail between them two was just funny to watch. But we don't really start to see, like, romantic moments between them until, I don't know, I think we kind of see them have a kind of a connection when they end up throwing this, like, rager of a house party to try to set each other up, and then they end up in the bathroom together, and they kind of have this, like, argument between them.
Yeah.
And, you know, he questions why she still wears her ex-fiance's, like, the engagement ring if you're not still in love with him. And she was just like, I'm not, and takes it off, puts it on the little counter, and he's like, I'm in it for the long haul. She's like, I'm in this for the long haul. And they kind of have this moment where they're talking so close to one another to kind of, like, because they're angry, but then it kind of turns and it shifts into like
just enough. Yeah.
It's like this angry passion that's going to turn into, like, sexual tension, which is kind of the line that they are very close to crossing. But I thought the moment they really started, like, actually developing feelings for each other was the day at the park when he was coaching Little League and the uncle's birthday party or whatever.
Yeah. I thought it kind of slightly took a turn when, and I think this was before that, but when his parents were over for dinner or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
She, like, invited his parents over kind of, like, to get at him because she knows he doesn't have a good relationship with his dad and whatever, but she kind of sees how his dad treats him as far as, like, the woodworking goes, and
just little side comments.
Like, his dad is really hard on him, even though, like, he built the bar that they were sitting at, kind of thing. And she was like, well, I actually think it's really great. Like, I think it's a great piece and whatever.
Yeah,
like,
he could sell the furniture.
Like, she was kind of just, like, gassing him up. And I thought that was kind of a pivotal moment.
For sure.
Not, like, super romantic or anything like that, but I do think it was, like, kind of a shift in that direction.
But yeah, it was like, I actually care about you a little bit enough to, like, come to your defense.
Yeah, but definitely the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, is where it really turned.
They have the moment where she makes her a comment of Indiana Jones, Raider of the Lost Ark being, like, the best movie of all time, and he's, like, taken back by that, like, like, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this, like, hints at, like, they don't actually really know each other, but they're slowly getting to know these other details about them as a person.
And even just, like, him coaching the Little League for his niece or whoever.
Yeah, and interacting with his niece.
Yeah, it was just so cute. And, like, she's like, oh, I didn't picture you coaching Little League or whatever. And he's like, basically what you just said, like, we don't really know each other.
Like, there's a lot about me you don't know. Yeah, and I thought it was cute, too, because, like, obviously the whole marriage setup, or the fake marriage, or whatever you want to call this, real marriage, but
Yeah. Right.
the marriage itself being something they're just doing temporarily is a secret to his family at this point. And then when they're walking with the niece and she's like, I think she's not so bad. I think you should just keep the money or like whatever. And she's like, split it. And she's like, wait a second. Like she knows. And he's like, yeah, I don't keep secrets from Sammy or whatever her name was. I don't know. I just thought she saw more of him. He saw more of her. And they look great together.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their chemistry, even as the angry banter back and forth, it's just unmatched. It's classic. It's a 10 out of 10 on-screen chemistry. Hilarious together, hot together. Like, it's just so great. And then I think the main like catalyst is the retreat.
The retreat, yeah.
That is when everything really makes like a 180 shift. And
like it's like all gas, no brakes.
100%. Yeah. He throws his idea out the window of basically going there to out her in front of everybody and decides like, I can't do that to her.
Yeah.
Like
he just like decides to lean in.
Yeah. He's like, I can't do it. And there are those moments kind of like at the dinner with his parents, similarly, like where the other one becomes in this vulnerable state. They have this look that washes over them, kind of communicating without words to the other, like, please don't do this. And the other one just like serves them in that way. Yeah. And is like, I can't do this to you. Like, I actually care about you.
Yeah. And I mean, even at the retreat, like, I don't know, he just like went all in like with the boss and like making jokes and kind of gassing her up to them and kind of like jumping in where she may have, you know, fallen a little bit kind of to lift her up. And I thought that was a very sweet dynamic.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I thought,
and of course,
that's great.
The Vegas theme of the like the cocktail party was obviously very symbolic.
Yes.
Loved that.
Yes, it was. And just that whole moment where, you know, he gives a speech hyping her up and talks about, you know, their wedding night and they didn't get their first dance and then they got to share the dance, which ultimately led to a kiss because everyone was kind of like clinking their glasses. And it's like that iconic moment that most rom-coms have where they finally have this like real moment of connection. And it's like both of them just immediately let their guards down. I mean, they have been fighting tooth and nail with each other this entire time. Yeah. Like going to any length to sabotage the other person. And now they're just like, you said, leaning into it. Yeah. And so they go back to their hotel room that night and they have that tension. Yeah. Like she's throwing out all those signs of like, I'd be fine to share the same bed.
Yeah. And also, I want to point out that the purple bra was like before they even get to the hotel room, the purple bra that he makes a comment about earlier on in the movie because she was wearing it in Vegas and he saw her changing in his apartment and she had like these nude Spanx on or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, as soon as you get married, it's all whatever he said, nude colored or flesh colored, whatever. He's like, what happened to that purple bra from Vegas? And she is wearing this purple bra and it's like just peeking out of the top of her dress
at the end of the night
before they even get to the hotel
girl,
room.
You knew exactly
she knew what she was doing. So obviously,
she asks him to like fix her zipper, unzip her dress. He's trying to hold everything together. Yeah. Like he's trying not to like audibly gasp. And you know what? They fight the tension. Nothing happens. Nope. They sleep in their own separate beds.
On the couch.
He's on the couch. She's in the bed. And day comes to an end. And yeah, I think they both realize like, wow, we really actually could be together and could maybe actually make this marriage work. Yeah. Until we find out the moment of conflict comes to a head and we realize that her freaking dumb ex comes back into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically asks to have her back. Like, I was wrong. I miss you. You seem so different, and blah, blah, blah. And he pulls out her ring, which she obviously didn't give back to him.
Mm-hmm.
So she puts 2 and 2 together that Jack sabotaged her, went against her trust, took the ring and gave it to him. And she feels completely betrayed by him.
Yep.
Although she doesn't know when he did that. And I feel like if she had known, and maybe she still feels like it was too far,
Mm-hmm.
but like, y'all were both going wild with each other. Crossing boundaries, all the things. So, like
actively trying to sabotage this whole thing.
Right. Had she known that he did that before they really even had a connection.
Right.
Maybe she would think differently, but at that point, she was just like, I'm done. Like, I can't do this anymore. They show up to their court hearing, and she basically says, like, I just want a divorce. He can have all their money.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be done with this. And he's heartbroken.
Wrecked.
You can just see it on his face. He's so disappointed because he went in thinking, like, we're going to be together. Like, we're going to get to split the money and be together. That's a win-win.
Yeah.
And
essentially, we're still going to have $3 million.
Heck yeah. Yeah, but we do still see this shift that takes place in Joy because she's realized that, like, a lot of her life before was too planned and organized, and she wasn't even enjoying life. She was just going through her routine, like,
really focused on work, getting that promotion,
right? Exactly,
and nothing else really mattered,
right? So we see her kind of have the moment of quitting her job, and she has that classic line that Jack had shared with her earlier, like, I'd rather do nothing and be happy than do something I know I don't love.
Mm-hmm.
And she quits her job and basically has to, like, check out for a little bit. And Jack is having a moment with his parents, and his dad's like, what are you doing? Like, he had kind of patched things up with his dad at this point. He's, back working for him at his company, and he's like, you got to go after her. Like, go get her.
Yeah. And don't take yourself out of the game again.
Yeah. And he can't find her. He's looking everywhere. Asks Tipper, where is she? And he's like, I don't know. Where would you go if you wanted to, like, escape and just be happy? And he remembers the moment that she shared with him that late night at the retreat. Because he had asked her, like, when's the last time you were really happy?
Mm-hmm.
And she shared, like, one day she went 30 miles east of the city to a lighthouse, and she just sat by herself on the beach and just really was truly happy at that moment.
Yep.
So Jack tracks her down.
Yep. And he
but
finds her.
Can we just give an honorable mention to Zach Galifianakis in this movie?
Yes, we can.
Because this is the first thing I had ever seen him in.
Yes.
This was pre-Hangover, guys. Okay. At this point, nobody valued the comedic element he brought to this movie. Okay. He had so many good lines.
The one line, like,
we've been quoting this for 15 years. Okay. When he's like, do you even know how to drive an automatic? I mean, guys, good. That is brilliant. Anyways, Jack goes after her and realizes there's
30 lighthouses. Not 30. 6 or something. I don't know.
But he eventually finds her, and they are able to chat, and he proposes to her.
Yeah.
And she says yes. And then they kiss.
And they live happily ever after.
They do live happily ever after. And the most iconic moment, not most, but one of the most iconic moments at the end is when Tipper gets to do her junk punch.
Yeah.
Which
we also talk about this moment.
I've been talking about this all the time. I tell so many people, if you know me personally, I've probably talked to you about this, where somebody that deserves to be punched in the junk, you roll up to their house, ring the doorbell, they come to the door, you say nothing, you just punch them in the junk, and as they're writhing in pain, going on their knees saying, why? You just say, you know why, and you walk away. That is so
Chef's kiss.
Sweet satisfaction.
Yeah.
So that's how the movie ended. And then we saw what we never get to see in movies anymore is like the rolling credits, little bonus extras.
Yes.
Like, why did they not do that?
And we got to see it in the next movie too.
It was a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody stayed for the credits.
Yep.
And now I feel like they only do that in like dumb superhero movies. You're like, if you stay 25 minutes into the credits, you're going to see this little like bonus
like tiny
scene.
Easter egg or
yeah.
something stupid.
And you're like, first of all, who cares?
Yeah.
Second of all, why don't we do that in every movie? But anyways, that was a classic. It's perfect balance of rom and com, in my opinion.
Yeah. And them two together was so good.
Yeah. And the next one, guys, we were going to talk about one of my all-time favorite Ashton Kutcher movies because it just, when we were like, okay, we're going to talk about Ashton's movies, I was like, we've got to talk about The Guardian. Obviously, hello, duh. Nicole
You guys
had never seen it. So like, perfect, great. I can't wait for you to watch this movie.
I mean, she was adamant about this.
Of course I was adamant.
And
this is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and like this was one like you kept bringing up too, like
yeah,
up until yesterday when we watched it. And you guys, we're watching the movie, and it's like there's like 20 minutes left maybe, and I'm over here just like wondering when the romance starts. And then Trisha pipes up and says something like, "Oh, I think this had more romance than I thought," or like I thought it had more romance. Like my 15-year-old self, like
definitely
thought there was more romance, and I was like, "Look, Trisha, if you wanted to watch The Guardian, like you should have just said that. Like if that's what you wanted,
definitely more of just a drama with like a side of romance,
and hardly."
Maybe an appetizer's worth of romance. No, a side dish would be appropriate, I think. Yeah, it was not the meatiest part of the meal. I'll say that. I think I just had a crush. I think I just had a crush, and I just like romanticized him and his character in this movie. I think that's what happened. Mm-hmm. So there's not much to talk about. I mean,
no, there's nothing to talk about.
They just.
I know you want to talk about it. She wants to talk about it
in general, not even the romance.
You can do a solo episode about that later.
Yeah, no, we can't because like it's not even about romance. But.
Yeah, so.
But and also like the romance that was in the movie is like wasn't even that good. Like they didn't have that great of chemistry.
No,
he was just hot at that time. He was in his prime. Okay.
Yeah. I will agree with that.
Yeah, and it's a great movie. So I'm here to say, if you haven't seen the movie The Guardian, go watch it. Don't watch it.
I have
with the intent of seeing romance.
Yeah, I have no complaints about the movie. It was great.
Yeah, I had to make sure that when she comments, I was like, "Don't be talking hate. Don't be talking smack about this movie." She's like, "No, it's a good movie."
No hate on the movie at all. Hate on the movie.
But we did then watch a true romantic comedy, another oldie called Guess Who. With Ashton and Bernie Mac, which their relationship was more of the focus.
It was like a bromance.
Yeah, but it felt still like good. A classic rom-com because it was because it's not just a romance movie. It's supposed to be equally comedy,
and it's Bernie Mac. Like he's so funny,
guys. Like the late great Bernie Mac. He was truly so hysterical. I don't know if you ever watched the Bernie Mac show. Oh my gosh, it was so good. We watched that all the time. But another great one. I love it. We have Simon and Teresa. And so I guess I'll just read a little synopsis for you guys. But Guess Who is a comedy about Percy Jones, played by Bernie Mac, an overprotective father who is shocked to learn that his daughter Teresa, played by Zoe Saldana, is bringing home her white boyfriend Simon Green, Ashton Kutcher. Determined to put Simon to the test, Percy makes his life difficult with relentless interrogations and awkward challenges. As tensions rise, unexpected moments of bonding lead to mutual understanding, proving that love and acceptance can break down even the strongest prejudices. Prejudices is a hard word to say.
That is a hard word.
I feel like it should be prejudice.
Prejudices.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just made that up.
So we have the couple that that we really want to talk about is Simon and Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
So break them down for us.
So Simon is an unemployed white boy. No, he wasn't unemployed. He quit his job because his boss was kind of a low life.
Yeah.
So we can talk a little bit about that later. But he quits his job literally on the day he's gonna go meet her parents. But anyway, Teresa is a photographer, so she's kind of the artsy one. And I don't even know what his job was. I forget.
Something in like
finance or some corporate job.
It was finance related.
Yeah. So yeah, they're kind of opposites, if you will. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's them.
Then we have Percy. Okay, he is like protective dad. Also works in the finance industry. He is a loan officer, and he feels very highly about his skills that he has.
Yeah,
and that he can suss people out in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and we come to realize that's not quite true. He can judge people fairly quickly, but he may not get down to the bottom of who they really are.
Yeah.
So
and
again,
he's also already stalked this boyfriend of Teresa's.
He's ran a credit report and thinks
which he bragged about.
Yeah,
that his credit was very good.
Yeah. And he knew the company that he worked for and was very impressed by that. And so he was like, although he was a little bit like not ready to meet his daughter's boyfriend, he was still kind of impressed at this point before knowing him or before meeting him.
Yeah.
And I'll say before we even see them make it to their parents' house, because the whole premise is they're going to meet or they're going to stay at her family's house because her parents are having like their 25th anniversary party / vow renewal. And but before we even see them get there, we see their chemistry right off the bat. Like,
oh yeah,
they love each other.
They're so in love.
They're in love. They're infatuated with one another. They work. It's like the give and take. They're just different enough but similar.
Yeah.
To make it work, and it's so sweet. I thought their chemistry. I said 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like the best we've ever seen, but very good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think, like you said, a lot of the movie was kind of just like these comedic moments between Simon and Percy.
They were so funny.
Oh my gosh, truly.
I mean, it really was just so funny.
Yeah.
Them sleeping together in the basement. It was
on a couch bed. Yeah, that was crazy.
Literally cuddling together.
Yeah. But I think one moment that stood out to me as far as being just like a romantic or memorable moment was the night that they kind of snuck out together because, they were separated. The basement door was literally padlocked, so he had to sneak out the window. And they kind of just like ran through her old stomping grounds, and she showed him, here's the moment I had my first kiss, or here's the place I had my first kiss, and they just talked a little bit about that, and then they ran to this spot that was like her favorite spot where she used to run off to and just kind of think and dream and plan, and they have a really sweet moment together, just like talking about their future.
Yeah.
And his dad ran off on him when he was younger, and so he didn't really grow up with one, and he was just like, I hope I can be a good dad. And she just reassures him and says, I think you're going to be a great dad. And he said, I hope I can be a great dad like your dad. And she's like, what? No, like he's so like overbearing and overprotective. And he's like, he loves you so much. So that moment I just loved, because you could easily think that Simon would be so annoyed and like frustrated by Percy's attempts to really like
knock him
run
down.
him off, or disrespect him or whatever. And instead he chose to see, wow, he really loves his daughter a lot. Right. That he's willing to go to such lengths to make sure the guy she's with is a good one. Yeah. And yeah, I just thought it was just so sweet.
Yeah, that was my favorite moment too. Because I thought it was just not like a vulnerable moment for her, but I don't know. We didn't really see much of that until then, where they just had that real, kind of conversation, about their future and even like her childhood or whatever. I just thought it was sweet too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, race was a big component in this movie, and like the fact that her family had concerns about him being a white guy and not fully understanding what it's like to be black,
right,
and what it would be like for them to be an interracial couple, and the looks and the stares and the comments, and even from her own family members,
right,
and then from his side, his point of view, you know, he feels like, I can't win, I can't say anything because whatever way I think or say, I'm always going to end up being the racist white guy,
right.
And so I kind of did like that it broke down some of those barriers, or like both of them were kind of put to rest almost. Like if you really love each other and you have respect for each other and your families do, then like it's gonna work out, and it doesn't mean it's gonna be easy or whatever, but
and at the end of the day, like, you guys are gonna have each other's back, and
it's a choice that you make to love each other. Like, you're just gonna have to work harder than maybe some couples would. But you know, at some point they kind of have this moment where she finds out that he lied to her about losing his job, and Percy also yells at his wife and is like, whatever, just, I don't even know how they got into their fight. They were
just like,
they were bickering.
They were exposing each other left and right.
Oh yeah. And then his wife's basically like, okay, the party's off. We're done. And her daughter, like, they run off to the girls, to her sister's house for a couple days. And this is when we see Percy and Simon really kind of like get to know each other better and
squash their beef.
They did. They squashed the beef. So the other moment that I thought was sweet was before they fully went in to talk to the girls, Simon was explaining to Percy like what he would want to say to his daughter, or what he would want to say directly to her, or just how he feels about her. And he was explaining how, you know, she's everything I'm not, and you know, she's my other half, and you can't go back to being half once you know what it's like to be whole. And I just thought that was such a sweet. It's something new, like everyone.
Right.
A lot of people refer to their it's my other half, like my better half. But the way that he said, like, you can't go back to being half when you know what it's like to be whole. I loved that.
Yeah.
Like, it showed me that like he wanted to fight for her. He wasn't just gonna let the dad who's literally made this entire relationship seem impossible.
Right.
He's like, I don't care about that. Like, I'm willing to like take every punch you throw at me because I love your daughter.
Yep.
And I just love that. Now, we did see that Percy stole his moment and stole
He
all
literally
his words.
stole his speech.
Like, Perce.
Come on,
Perce.
And that kind of caused a little tension too between. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of his improvised speech after that, which was I don't even know the name of that song, but
B2K.
Yeah, the B2K bump, bump, bump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He literally was saying the lyrics to that song as his speech to Teresa. And
it didn't work on her.
They were like, boy, take your woman and go out there and fix your stuff. So they go. They have a pretty heated conversation about him lying about his job. She was obviously very upset by that. And they kind of leave it on a bad note. Like,
yeah, they essentially break up.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm done. Like, we're not doing this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she walks away. He walks away.
They're both heartbroken. Like, even when she left, and he had left her 15 voicemails, part was so funny.
33 phone calls.
15
voicemails.
At least 15 voicemails. He's all over the place. He's mad, angry, upset, emotional, in love. He's a wreck. Okay? And we even see her at that point when the mom's like, she's still pissed, and she's like, I'm not done having my drinks, and we're staying. She's like, please, I just want to go work this out with him. Like, she was in the headspace of like, I want to fix this with him. And then somehow just like when they did talk, it wasn't enough. And yeah, he leaves, and he never really explained to her why he lost the job or why he quit the job. And so the party goes on for the parents, and Percy realizes, you know, after talking with his daughter, that she's definitely still in love with him, and he wants to try to fix things.
Yeah, because she told him about the boss.
Yeah.
And how horrible he was, and
just bad vibes.
And Percy kind of put it together like that's why he quit his job, because the boss made some sort of comment about Teresa, like him and Teresa together.
Right.
And he was like not having it. So he quit his job over that, which I think Percy, that's when he finally was like, okay, that he already knew he really loved his daughter, but like he was willing to quit his job. And even though he tells him that's stupid.
Yeah,
like,
which I loved that.
Yeah, like part. You can't just be quitting your job over stuff like that. Like, I respect it, but
like the reality is like that's not gonna be the last time someone makes a comment.
Yeah,
like you can't, every time that happens, you can't just make a rash decision.
Right.
Yeah, that affects your family and your livelihood and all that.
Right.
But he does. He goes and talks to him, and he never got on the train to go back home, so he was also contemplating whether he should leave or not. And ultimately he goes back and has this moment where he sings to Teresa at the parents' reception or whatever, and they have a moment where they just say, we love each other, we're going to work it out. And they have their final ending kiss that seals the deal, and they live happily ever after too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we also see amazing post-credit or post-movie scenes.
Yeah.
Like, and the way they did it was so cute.
It was so cute, like a little menu of a DVD.
Yeah, which that's sad if you think about
it. It is so sad.
Or like you'd be at a sleepover and wake up in the middle of the night and the song is like playing from the DVD menu.
I always think of Shrek.
Oh, Shrek.
When it's like played the movie. Yeah. I always think of that.
Oh my gosh. It's a lost experience.
It is. These kids these days don't get to have that.
I know, it's really sad.
It is.
So yeah, I think again, Simon, or Ashton's character, is just like, he's just a regular dude, and he's trying his best to be the best version of himself, and ultimately it works out for them in the end. We love to see that.
Yeah.
The last movie we're going to talk about is a new one. I think it was from 2024.
23.
Or was it 23? Okay. Dang, I didn't realize it was that long ago. Wow.
I guess
so. So we're going to talk about the Netflix original Your Place or Mine with Ashton and Reese Witherspoon. Do you want to read a little summary on that one?
Yep. So Your Place or Mine follows lifelong best friends Debbie and Peter, who live on opposite coasts and have completely different lifestyles. Debbie is a routine-loving single mom in LA, while Peter is a free-spirited bachelor in New York. When they swap homes for a week so Debbie can pursue a long-awaited opportunity, Peter unexpectedly bonds with her son and realizes he may have deeper feelings for her. As they navigate old memories and new realizations, they must decide whether their friendship is meant to become something more.
So Peter and Debbie, we see Peter, he is, just like it said, a little bachelor in New York. He is
a writer.
He's a closeted writer.
Another writer, guys.
He works in what we can only assume to be like, I don't know, advertising, something business like venture, something. But yeah, he quit writing a long time ago, but it's still like his passion, and we realize that he has secretly written a book and told no one. And that's what his passion is. And then we have Debbie, who, yes, is a routine loving single mom, but she's a little bit psycho. She is type A.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, control freak. She's got everything that could be labeled. He makes a comment at one point in the movie like, you have all the things. Like, if there were ever things to be had, you have them.
They're here.
Yeah,
they exist in this house.
Just got so much stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, but they're best friends, and they have been for years and years.
Mm-hmm. And they talk every day. They FaceTime every day.
Throughout the day. Yeah. Constantly. Sometimes we see them just on a phone call. Sometimes it switches to the FaceTime. Sometimes it's like FaceTime on the computer because you're doing something in the kitchen. It's like they're just consistently talking every day.
Yeah.
He's literally on the phone with her while he has another woman in bed next to him. Like,
yeah.
He don't care about having a real connection with any other person.
Yeah.
But I thought their chemistry was 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
As far as like
even just their friendship,
the true connection of their friendship from the beginning was just like they are truly the only people that really knows each other.
Yeah.
That intimately.
Right.
And not in like a physical intimately way, but we obviously see that the first night they met, they did sleep together, and it kind of like stopped right there. Like, he just felt like he wasn't good enough for her. She didn't feel like she would be good enough for him. And they just kind of naturally didn't end up together, even though they both
just remained
assumed wrong.
Right.
But yeah, they, he moved away eventually, and they kept in contact. And so
I think the first, it's like one of the main moments is she is obviously wanting to go to New York to do these classes to get whatever part of this degree that she's getting. I still don't know what it is.
Something related to math.
Something, yeah. Anyway, so she's going to be gone for like a week, and she's really looking forward to seeing Peter. She's going to be staying with Peter while she's there in New York. But the person who's supposed to be watching her son while she's gone, that whole plan falls through. So she tells Peter, like, hey, I'm not going to New York. My sitter fell through. And he basically calls her and is like, I just booked my flight to LA. Like, I'll watch Jack, her son, while you go to New York. You can still stay at my place and do your classes and whatever. And I'm like, the fact he got on a plane to do that alone is like,
he also had just like quit his job.
Huge green flag. Yeah, he chalks it up to having time between clients, but we know why he really went.
Yes.
Which I just thought that was huge. I'm like, okay.
It is. And then she was like trying to like combat that and like give him every excuse of why that couldn't work or shouldn't work. He didn't have to. And he's like, would you just stop for a second? Like, you've helped me like so many times with blah, blah, blah. Like, list off all these things. He's like, you need help.
Right.
Like, let me help you. Like, she obviously doesn't know how to let other people help her.
Yeah.
She has to be in control of all the things.
Yep.
And she has to play everything safe. Like, she can't take any risks. She doesn't let her son do anything fun.
He has a whole slew of allergies.
Yeah. She's like borderline Munchausen. Okay. One step closer.
It could be.
He's allergic to every little thing. He's basically living in a bubble. And he sees that.
Yeah.
Peter. And he's like, okay, I'm going to come hang out with your boy. And, even their connection was so sweet. Like, he's just everything that kid needed to hear and experience. Like, you can watch a movie on a school night. You can
and watch it before you do your homework.
You can play on the hockey team with kids your own age, even though you might get hurt. Like, just little things like that, and lessons of like how to make friends or just how to have fun and enjoy your childhood instead of living in fear all the time.
Yeah.
And then we kind of see on the flip side, Debbie's experiencing how to let her hair down a little bit. And kind of just like she's kind of getting coached from one of the girls that Peter has like had a little fling with before.
Yeah. Minka. She's fun.
Yeah. And yeah, she ends up being like such a cool character, which I love. It wasn't like this, you're Debbie. Instead of, she was like, you're Debbie, like the Debbie.
Like
and
Debbie.
She just immediately connects with her and takes her under her wing and is just like her little millennial bestie. And
Yeah.
it was fun to watch. But while Debbie is in New York, she goes to this bar with Minka and ends up meeting this writer, publisher. I don't know what all he is, but he's this author that she's obsessed with, the CEO. And she's like read every single book he's ever written, and he is just like also very impressed by her, thinks she's beautiful, thinks she's talented and just interesting and wonderful, and they kind of have a date that leads to more, and they kind of have a little fling for the week.
Yeah, we see Peter's reaction. Okay, because he has in-home cameras,
of course,
and he gets a notification on his phone that there's motion in the house.
There's some activity going on,
and he just stares at the notification because I feel like he knows better, but he ends up clicking on it, and he sees Theo and Debbie having a moment. He's like literally carrying her to the bedroom, and he throws his phone across the room and breaks a vase,
and immediately calls up an old fling in LA.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. That his response was to like, I have to go out. I have to call somebody. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna hook up with someone else. He doesn't. He can't. He's like, who have I become? Like I can normally. This is not a problem for me. Like I do this. I hook up with people, but he couldn't do it in this instance, which I thought was obviously very telling.
Oh yeah. Just even in like that first moment, like I was like, he's like just on the phone with her. You can just he is in love with her.
Yeah, just like his eye, just the look in his eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just love that like Jack, the son, is like so attuned to everything as well, because he's obviously like always around when they're on the phone and talking, and Jack's
talking to him
and trying to give him a nickname every time. It's kind of this like running joke they have. And he makes a comment at some point like, why don't you guys just like stay here? Like the three of us make a great team together. And he's just kind of like, wait, what do you mean? Like,
what are you talking about?
And yeah, what you talking about, Willis? Like that kind of moment. And I thought that was so sweet of Jack to kind of be like,
what are we doing here?
Yeah, and also like, I like you, right? Because his dad's MIA. Okay, he's involved in his life at some level, but not enough to be an active part or to actually like know him or spend time with him.
Yeah,
he's just like climbing rocks and mountains.
Yeah,
every day apparently. Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say was sweet is it's interesting, this movie, because we see so many moments that like really like snowball their love story, and yet they're like never together in a single scene until the very end.
Yeah.
But in several of their phone calls, she basically like talks about everything that she's saved over the years and like all these mementos, and don't you want to save this? And he's like, I'm not a mementos person. Like that's my least favorite kind of mentos. Like, and he said that multiple times in the movie.
Like I don't keep anything.
Yeah. Well, she discovers this envelope under like a nightstand or something and opens it up and finds that he in fact does save mementos. And it's like everything from their friendship, anything significant, a postcard, pictures of them, tickets to a Dodgers game, like
like an armadillo keychain or something,
and like the original poker chip from the night that they met, which she also has one. And in that moment she kind of feels like, oh my gosh, like he's in love with me just like I'm in love with him. Why wouldn't he tell me this? And so we obviously see a moment where Theo, her little, side piece for the week, they meet up again, and he offers her a job in New York, and also says, like, I want to continue to see where things are going. Like, I know it's early, but, like, I'm really feeling this. And she's kind of just had this realization that, like, I think I'm in love with somebody else.
Yeah.
And she tells him that. Immediately gets a phone call that her son got hurt in hockey. And she's got to go home. But she's livid pissed.
She's really mad.
Peter.
Yeah. Because she never wanted him to play hockey because of the risk of getting hurt. Because, like we said, she likes to play it safe and doesn't
or he couldn't play with the bigger
doesn't ever want to take risks in general, and certainly not with her son. Yeah, so she's really, really upset. He's in the hospital. First of all, he's perfectly fine. He's a little bit concussed, but like
even the doctor's like, he's doing great.
Yeah, he's fine, but she can't get over the fact that Peter did this behind her back, like took him to the tryouts and all the things. So she's just really upset.
Yeah, and she's not the innocent one though that she makes herself out to be, because what she neglected to tell Peter was that she also found the hidden book and sent it off to be published. And he finds that out through Minka. Yeah. So she basically tells him, you need to go. The friend is going to stay with her son, and you need to be gone by the time I get that back. And he's like upset, but fine, whatever. Well, they see each other at the airport. She was just arriving, and he was just leaving, and they're on like the moving sidewalks going in the opposite directions. I thought that was such a cute
it was
like idea.
Yeah, that scene was really good.
Like the writers really nailed it with that. Like that was very funny, but also like just such a cute way to end it, to have their final like argument / like moment of saying they loved each other.
Yeah.
So finally, she's upset. She runs off the moving sidewalk, ends up falling or dropping her bag, and the poker chip falls out. Minka,
she put it there on purpose.
And she like gathers her stuff and like goes to him and is like,
yeah, what is this? She has this moment of like, okay, wait, I need to chill.
Yeah.
Like this poker chip is the whole, like, yeah, this is the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like, I need to calm down. I need to reel in my anger in this moment, and like I need to go talk to him about this poker chip.
Yes. And he's like, you went through my stuff, like how did you find that? And she's like, forget that. Like, are you in love with me? And he's like, what? Like, am I in love with you? He's like, no. He's like, I'm madly, deeply, overwhelmingly in love with you. And I'm like, I gotta write that down. Because if my future husband doesn't say madly, deeply, overwhelmingly, we're gonna have an issue. No, like, obviously they just share like a passionate kiss in that moment, because they're both like coming to the realization that for years now,
yeah,
they've been in love.
Yeah.
And they've just been too afraid to tell each other.
Yeah. And she's like, what, we can't be friends anymore? And he's like, no, we can't be friends anymore. Be friends anymore. We're going to be more than friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just so cute. And then, we see the little 15 minutes later, they're walking out of the airport and they're holding hands, and they're like, wait, are we like hand holders now? Like what? Like, and I so badly wish that we would have been able to see more of them as a couple.
Just give me 30 more minutes of the movie. Just 30 more minutes,
give me a sequel and make like Jack be older and like have a girlfriend, and then they have to battle it out as, parents or something. I don't know, but like we need to see more of them together, because it just like it was such a slow burn of like this getting was there. A slow burn. And then they got there, like, and then the credits rolled.
Yeah,
like we saw the 6 months later. He moved in with her. Life's great. They obviously got married. It said,
yeah,
it wasn't happily. They lived happily ever after. It's like, just kidding. Like, marriage is hard, but they lived a really good life, and that's how it ended.
Yeah,
which is like great. I'm glad.
I don't want to read that on the screen. I want to see it.
Right?
I want to see it be acted out.
Right. Like, even if it was like 7 more minutes.
Yeah, 10 something.
Like, give us like, oh, you know how like some movies will be like cut to like 1 year later.
Right.
And then it's
Just
like, we get to see that they like, I don't know. We just wanted to see more of them.
We deserve
okay?
more.
Because if you're going to bring 2 great actors from the early 2000s that were known for being in rom-coms, you got to give us a little bit more.
A little bit more.
But it was a great movie, and
it is. It's cute. I like the concept of it.
I did too. It was very unique. Honorable mention goes to Zen, the neighbor, who was just constantly working in her garden.
He was crazy.
He wanted a piece of the pie too, but he was never going to get that with her.
And Peter was a little jealous of him.
He was 100%. That was one thing he was like, you never told me about the man living
Zen.
in the garden.
Whose butt crack is hanging out every day.
He was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, guys, Ashton Kutcher has obviously been in plenty of movies and TV shows and things that are worth talking about, but we just only had time to discuss those 3 things, plus a little bit of The Guardian.
I'm over here rolling my eyes.
But we appreciate you guys listening to our antics as we discuss meet cutes that we see on screen. And we hope that you'll tune into our next episode.
Yes, please do.
Thanks for watching, or listening, I should say.
Yeah, watching soon.
Yes, hopefully we'll be watching soon. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye.